So I'm reading between the lines of some of the David paperwork, and there are still some interesting details that you can glean if you just look a little bit closer. There's a couple of snippets from the paperwork that laid out every disgusting thing that David had done to Celeste, and there's a few things in there, if you just pay close attention to the wording, it makes you realize that actually there might have been some very sketchy things going on behind the scenes, and it really concerns David and the parents of Celeste. So this is a post that I'd been looking at a few days ago. This says David was contacted by Celeste's family. So again, if you read between the lines in the paperwork, you start to realize that there's actually some key details that we haven't been, given as the public yet. But the prosecutors are actually hinting at some interesting behind the scenes interactions between David and Celeste's family. So look at this. I'm going to read this to you and just think about what's being said. These words, they're very, very selectively chosen, and they communicate a lot of things beneath the surface. So it said, despite knowing she was dead and that her family was trying to find her, the evidence will show how the defendant lied and claimed he didn't know where she was. So this sentence, right? Just like how they said David, stood by and watched her bleed out, and we're saying, well, what's the proof of that? What's the evidence of that? We're going to find out when we get to the trial, but at this stage, we're just getting little, vague explanations from the prosecutors. The entire story that the prosecutor has put together and told in this paperwork is based on facts. It's based on the 40 terabytes, unlimited evidence that they have that will eventually come out once we get to the full-blown trial. Okay. So when it says, despite knowing that she was dead and that her family was trying to find her, that means David knew she was dead, but he also knew that the family was trying to find her. This suggests to me, as the title of this post says, David was contacted by Celeste's family. So it seems to suggest, right, they don't need to provide evidence of everything they say in their complaint, but they're basically building a narrative based on everything they know. So it says David knew she was dead, obviously, because he allegedly killed her. But it said David knew the family was trying to find her after her death. Now, we haven't seen any missing persons posters from after April 23rd, 2025. We haven't seen any public statements, but that would suggest to me that the prosecutors actually have evidence that Celeste's family were trying to find Celeste, that they had contacted David, and it says here, the evidence will show the defendant lied and claimed he didn't know where she was. That would suggest to me that somebody from Celeste's family reached out to David personally, contacted him, asked where Celeste was, and he lied, and he said he didn't know where she was. There must have been communication between David and the family, okay? So I haven't seen much mention of this, but based on the prosecutor's brief, Celeste's family contacted David asking about her whereabouts, and he lied, saying he didn't know where she was. For all the people speculating the family didn't even look for her and that they were negligent, the evidence says otherwise. This is irrespective of the fact that they were cleared of the negligence charges. What this statement shows me is a worried family, and it seems they were in contact with David as well, to some extent, or that they knew how to reach him. This aligns with a previous report from a friend of Celeste who stated her parents asked her if she knew where Celeste was. Close friends have even stated her mum would sleep on the floor of her room and lock the door so she couldn't escape. This doesn't paint a picture of a family who doesn't care about what their teenage daughter is doing. This shows me they were actively searching for her, but when you have a kid who wants to run away and they have the means to do so, enabled and encouraged by a wealthy celebrity, there is very little you can do. I hope this settles those who are constantly attacking the family at such a sensitive time. So it says people that have replied clearly don't understand legal talk. They wouldn't have added that part in the brief if they didn't know his family contacted him. Because if they went to trial and it comes out that never happened, the state loses credibility. This is very calculated. These people have been doing their jobs for years. They know what they're doing. And I'm sure a lot of people here don't know much of anything about the legal system based on the replies. Okay, so it says the fact that they took her phone after first meeting David, and David went to her school to pay someone to give her a new phone. Who knows how long they were in contact while the family thought she was safe with no way for him to communicate with her. That shows the family was at least attentive and trying to protect her from the beginning. It also shows that David was persistent in pursuing her despite their attempts to protect her and distance her from him. I feel bad about the narrative that people are pushing. It was hard to keep me apart from my middle school boyfriend when we broke up preteen. I can't imagine the struggle of trying to keep a determined rich man with money, cars, etc. away from your daughter. Not to mention, police went and talked to him after their first meeting. Even if the family was telling police she was with David, it doesn't seem like police would do anything unless they actually found and saw her there with him. Okay. People are saying, I don't know why you're getting downvotes and shitty comments. I agree. This shows that they were looking for her, which can only mean they contacted her or had someone do it on their behalf. Okay. People keep posting and inferring a lot from this brief. Nowhere does it say the family contacted David. They may have, but we really don't know. Right? It says they didn't have to contact him and ask where she was because David knew for a fact they were looking for her, and it's on record. But his manager was sent the email. I disagree. Honestly, I disagree. It says knowing she was dead and the family was trying to find her. Knowing she was dead and the family was trying to find her, that suggests a timeline of after the death. That's not, despite lying to the family back in February when she was still alive. No, it says knowing she was dead and the family was still trying to find her, and then he continued to lie and claim he didn't know where she was. Okay, I haven't seen anything of him saying I don't know where Celeste is publicly. She just disappears and he gets on with his life. They're not talking about a social media post or him telling his friends he doesn't know where she was. He's saying the family, he knew that she was dead and the family was trying to find her after the death. Says to me that's exactly what was going down. So I got some more posts that are interesting just about Celeste and the family and what was really going on. This says Celeste was not just a victim, she was a star witness, according to the prosecutors, right? And I think it's really important just to remember how heinous this crime was. This wasn't just he just killed a minor for the fun of it because he wanted to save his career. She was a star witness in an investigation against him for being a PDF. Already. That's what was going on. And he took out the star witness. It's messed up. So it says the question posed involves a hypothetical scenario where Celeste, as a key witness in an Epstein-type investigation against David, discovers the truth about lawyers after she emotionally disclosed all of her allegations of his multiple relationships with minors, which she believed would ruin him. Okay? Given her history with him, Celeste may have understood his capabilities and believed herself immune to threats. However, the others might have been fearful, potentially leaving David to conclude that her elimination would collapse the case against him, especially if the prosecution indicated she was not only a witness for herself, but had information and evidence regarding others. Now, this is really interesting. Star witness in an Epstein-style investigation against David. Now, we've heard numerous people like SF Investigates and others saying that there is proof that David was actually messing with multiple minors. They're saying that he might have had some at different houses. He might have just had other people in the pipeline. Apparently, Celeste was upset. She found out he was unfaithful to her, other minors, other girls. And it really comes to suggest maybe the other girls didn't want to go to the police, but Celeste went and said, I'm a minor, and there's other minors I know about that have been involved with this guy. So it's a really, really good point, and it just drives home how serious this was. Forget the fact that he was a PDF and a murderer. That's already bad enough. But this is literally... Imagine that it wasn't David and Celeste. Imagine that this girl was exposing a completely different celebrity. Let's say it is a Jeffrey Epstein. Let's say she was planning to expose Jeffrey Epstein like Virginia Giuffre, and then she ends up getting killed, right? No different. It's the same. It's the same thing, and it's very, very chilling, because think of all the people that died suspiciously surrounding the Epstein case. Go and watch The Many Murders of Jeffrey Epstein on my main channel if you want to know about the dozens of people that died very suspiciously that were trying to expose Epstein. It's the same thing. And he is a one-man Epstein network taking her out. It's messed up, right? I don't know what that's all about. Anyway, all right, we'll forget the comments on this one. So apparently, there's actually call logs which show Celeste's parents made contact with law enforcement just days after Celeste's death. And again, this, I believe, comes to connect to that first post that I showed you, where I would say that I believe that Celeste's parents contacted David and David lied to them. Now, this is new information, and it goes to show you Celeste's parents contacted law enforcement April 27th, 4 days after her murder. There was no report written, and they conducted a follow-up on the 9th and 10th of September, nearly 5 months later. Now, I wonder whether that follow-up was to ask them about the body that was found in the Tesla, or whether that was a coincidence, and then within a couple of days of that, they're finding out. And no doubt, when the parents saw that the singer David a body had been found in the car of belonging to the singer David, that their hearts dropped, okay? But look, it says here the April 27th call was classified as a minor criminal matter, but interestingly, there was no report taken listed in the description. Instead, the disposition was NS, meaning no service needed, and in the written column it says no, there was no formal written report or anything else associated with that incident. Then the Celeste family no longer have contact with the police for nearly 5 months. I think that is the period when they contacted David. Police ain't doing shit for them. They know this minor was running away to chill with this rich, famous singer. No doubt they contacted him. Could have DM'd him, could have pulled up on him. I think they knew a lot, and I think they were trying to get to the bottom of this, and David lied to them. It said things appear to escalate later in September. Follow-up activity is logged September 9th and 10th, immediately after Celeste is found in the trunk. Then on September 12th, a formal report was written under the Penal Code for vandalism. And then there were 3 more follow-ups, followed by a 415 disturbing the peace call on September the 29th. Okay, so this is the original report provided by the Riverside County Sheriff's Department Data Warehouse. So people actually dug into this and found out what was going on. It says one officer from police department said the mum had been at the police station many times and they kept treating it as a runaway situation. Okay, so it sounds like they were digging and trying to get to the bottom of this, and they were going to the police station, and maybe the call logs don't record it. But Celeste's family were looking for her diligently, and it's just unfortunate that David lied to them, allegedly. So a lot of people are asking what happened when she went missing the second time. And I find this suspicious too, because I think she went missing on Valentine's Day, February 2024. You know, a bunch of messages and posters are sent to David and his management, and eventually she comes back, right? Then we start seeing aunties and cousins posting, be careful out there, these creeps are online. People start commenting on David's TikTok that he's messing with a minor. So this becomes an open secret. What happened when she went missing in April? 2 months later, she goes officially missing again. And that time, it seems like nothing ever happened. No one ever sent her back. She's going off on trips to London. I don't know what's going on. So it says, I can't find much information about this. I know she went missing before to be with David, but what actually happened the last time? Was he even on the police's radar? Did they look into any leads at all? Or did they just assume she was a runaway because it happened before? It's terrifying to think that if he had buried her in his yard or disposed of her body somewhere else, she might still be missing and no one would know. So many people knew about their relationship and not a single person reported him. So people saying, all we know from police records is the family was in contact with the police 4 days later. And after that, it's radio silence. Life went on as usual, posting weird stuff on Facebook up until the body was found months later. Okay. So that info isn't publicly available. The majority of the evidence they have from the lead up to the actual murder will likely be kept under wraps until the actual trial. It will no doubt include statements from friends that will explain, or perhaps not, why they didn't report it. And it says, if you look at the call logs that were posted, her parents literally contacted law enforcement on April 27th, which was only 4 days after she went missing. Hang on. My bad. Law enforcement on April 27th. Is that 2025 or 2024? So that actually says they contacted law enforcement on April 27th, 2025. That's the murder, when the murder was going on. Now, if this is all call logs to the police, what's interesting, obviously, this is when she went missing for the first time. And this run of calls is basically related to her disappearance. Seems like there was calls again in March and again in April when she went missing again. And then all the way up to calls being made in 2025. So actually, it's kind of referring to both incidences. But let me just pull back to where I was. I did think that was really interesting. So it says, if you look at the call logs are posted, the parents contacted law enforcement April 27th, 4 days after she went missing. She had a history of running off to be with him before. So bear in mind, they contacted law enforcement April 2024 and 2025. So the way the person's talking about this is kind of off. And it's not 4 days after she went missing. Well, it is 4 days after she went missing, but they're talking about, this is talking about a different situation. I wasn't sure if this was talking about the April 2024, when she officially went missing for the last time, or when she went missing for the last time and was never seen again. So just a bit of semantics here that's getting me a bit confused, but basically I'll finish with this. So she had a history of running off. The system just filed her under runaway instead of treating it like an endangered abduction. No real report until it happened until September. Groomers and pet predators purposely target kids who have conflict or friction at home because they know when the kid vanishes, the police are going to take their sweet time and assume she just ran away again. It gave him a massive 5-month head start. If they'd just done a basic digital sweep and checked his Tesla or Uber history back in April, the whole nightmare gets unraveled before he ever even went on his international tour. It's just a devastating look at how built-in systematic delays let someone hide a crime in plain sight. So there were interesting other things that were kind of coming out. These are some concerning I haven't got a backup of these either. That's crazy. All right. So, all right, the last thing that I'm going to show you is a lot of people are just questioning Celeste's parents. And I think it's wrong to point the finger at the parents. There's definitely unanswered questions, but I think it's absolutely wrong to try and blame them. But a lot of people have been asking about her tattoos and what she was getting up to. This says Celeste's parents, why did she get a tattoo that young? They said David cut the fingers off because of the tattoo she had, but she was only 14. I don't really know what age she got the tattoos. It seems a bit sketchy how a 13 or 14-year-old was able to get tattoos without a parent present. In some places, it's even illegal to tattoo minors. So if she did get them behind her parents' backs, why wouldn't they investigate how she got them or ask more questions? I don't know. It just seems weird that they let their little girl get tattoos that young, and coming from a Hispanic family too, a lot of Hispanic parents are usually really strict about tattoos. So people are saying she was running away for a long period of times. I don't think A, the tattoo was anyone's biggest preoccupation, or B, it was extremely difficult to hide for her. Also, based on photos, it seems like she was dressed very warm all year round. The only pic I've ever seen of her with any short sleeve top is the pic of her with red hair in David's Tesla. So if she can cover her fingers with her sleeves, then she would have been easy to hide. Another explanation is the parents didn't notice, and maybe she did get in trouble for it, but all her parents knew is that she had a boyfriend named David. They seemed somewhat oblivious to the circle she ran in, or who she was involved in, or how to contact them. So the chances of them knowing the tattoo artist is 0. Okay. So it's not uncommon for younger people in the tattoo industry to work from home or practice on friends. If you really want a tattoo underage, you can go to a shady urban area or a house party and get one. Plenty of people get tattoos underage nowadays. Since she ran away so much, I assume when she did come home, they were just relieved. The last thing they were worried about is a tattoo. I'm sure they noticed, but at that point, what can you do? What's done is done. Punishing her for what would have potentially made her just want to keep running away even more. So yeah, I don't want to go too much further into this topic. I just thought it was really interesting that, you know, it seems like if you read the wording of the report very, very carefully, I think David was contacted by Celeste's parents during that time. Everybody wants to say, oh, the parents didn't do much to try and find her. Clearly they did. They called the police so many times, as we saw on those call logs. I don't think there's a chance in hell that they knew that the kid was dating a guy called David and they knew where he was. And we saw a version of the wanted missing poster that went around that said last seen in the Hollywood Hills. I don't think there's a chance in hell that they didn't hear a peep from their daughter after April 23rd and that they didn't try and contact David some way or another. I'm surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if they turned up. And a lot of people are assuming, because we don't know, that they didn't do any of these things. But we might later find out that they were beating on the door of David's crib, trying to find out what was going on. They could have been calling him, texting him, DMing him. We don't know. And the way that report is worded, it would suggest that there is a lot more stuff that we don't know about this situation that could be coming out soon once we get an update in court. So I will be attending the next court date. I will let you guys know as soon as I have more information. For now, I'll be real. I'm probably going to slow down on covering the David case purely because every day I'm digging for more information and I'm finding this thing I found today, this is a very small tidbit, but this is something new. I didn't realize based on the wording in that report that it sounds like Celeste's parents contacted David and he lied to them. I'm finding very little stuff. I've probably got 1 or 2 more batches of information that I haven't put out there publicly yet. And I did record a very interesting video yesterday on some more people that actually knew that David was messing with minors, and YouTube's flagging the video, and I've not put it up there. And people were upset that I did members only content of videos that weren't cleared for YouTube. So I'm just going to try and censor that. I thought I was going to get it censored today. Haven't had a chance to do it. My editor's off for the weekend. So yeah, I do have like probably 2 David updates left in me. And unless there's new information, we're going to find a lot of other stuff to talk about. Okay, so this is basically any new info that I can find. I'm going to give it to you guys. And when I run out of it, we're going to talk about all host of other things. So please go and support the other videos I've been doing on other topics. I've been getting so much hate of people saying, oh, you talk about is David. I'm giving you other topics and you guys aren't watching them. So go and support the other things that I'm doing on this channel, okay? I'm a journalist. I talk about all kinds of different things. I am very passionate about what I do, and I'm interested in all these topics that I cover. I'm very interested in the David case. There's a lot of other things going on. And if you want me to cover other things, let me know. Leave me comments. Send me DMs. Let me know what you want me to cover, and I will cover it, okay? Thank you for watching this update. I'll see you guys in some more videos tomorrow. That's it for me today. Thank you. Peace.